You're in a meeting. You speak up clearly, confidently, and before you can even finish, your manager cuts you off. Let's stick to serious suggestions, please. Everyone laughs. Not because it was funny, but because no one wants to be the next target. You smile back. But inside, something breaks. You weren't trying to impress. You were just trying to contribute. But now you're sitting there, shrinking, questioning yourself, burning with a shame you didn't deserve. And the worst part? You say nothing. You stay silent. Because if you speak now, you're too sensitive. But if you stay quiet, you feel invisibly. This is how respect dies. Not in explosions, but in subtle cuts, delivered in full view of others, while no one says a word. And you walk out of that room, thinking, what just happened? Why didn't I defend myself? We've all been there. And the answer isn't to fight louder. It's not to fire back with sarcasm or to match their disrespect with your own. The answer is control. Stoic control. The kind that doesn't just survive the moment, but flips it on its head. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You don't fight to be respected. You become someone that no one can disrespect, and you do it without ever raising your voice." So what does Stoic power actually look like in moments like this? Let's break down 5 unshakable tactics that make people respect you instantly. We're trained to believe respect comes from what we say, from clever words, powerful speeches, strong arguments. But that's not how human nature works. People don't decide to respect you with logic. They feel it, instinctively, in seconds. And that feeling starts before you open your mouth. I once watched a man walk into a leadership retreat. He didn't wear a suit. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't even introduce himself with a title. But when he stood up to greet people, shoulders square, posture balanced, extended his hand, held eye contact for half a breath longer than normal, the energy in the room changed. People leaned in. They listened. Why? Because his body spoke before he did. And what it said was simple. I know who I am, and I'm not here to prove it. This is non-verbal hierarchy in action. Humans are hardwired to assess dominance and trustworthiness in less than 7 seconds, not based on your resume, but on posture, movement, micro-expressions, and eye contact. And most people get it wrong. They chase respect with words, while their body leaks insecurity. You can say you're confident, but if your shoulders slump, your eyes dart, and you greet others without presence, you've already lost the room. Now here's what the Stoics understood. Confidence isn't loud, it's still. Power isn't aggressive, it's composed. Your body is the first proof of your inner control. It reflects what you believe about yourself without asking for permission. So when you stand up to greet someone, you're not just being polite. You're declaring, this moment matters. You matter, I matter. Oh, that posture simple, firm, and present shapes the dynamic. And most importantly, you're not just signaling respect for them. You're signaling that you respect yourself. As Epictetus said, know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. Your body is your adornment, and your posture is a mirror to your mind. So here's your checklist. Walk into every space with intention, don't drift, arrive. Stand when greeting, regardless of status. Hold calm eye contact, not to dominate, but to anchor. Don't fidget, don't rush. Let stillness speak. These are micro-signals, but together they scream one message. I don't need your validation. I brought my own. And when others feel that, they adjust. They respond. And most of the time, They respect you, even if they don't know why. But once you've claimed that space, the real test comes when someone tries to challenge it, to interrupt it. Let's talk about what to do when someone tries to silence you in public. It happens fast. You're speaking, sharing a thought, building your point, and someone cuts you off. Maybe it's a coworker, maybe a family member, maybe someone who always seems to joke over you. They interrupt, they derail, and now the spotlight shifts away from you and toward their voice. Your instinct? To talk louder, to fight for space, to take back the mic. But that's not power, that's chasing. The Stoic doesn't chase. The Stoic reclaims with stillness. Here's what you do instead. You pose, turn, and hold your gaze. No raised voice, no snappy comeback, no flustered energy, just silence, paired with direct, unblinking attention. It doesn't need to last long. 2 or 3 seconds is enough. In that moment, the room feels it. You haven't reacted. You've redirected, and now they are the one exposed, because you've made everyone feel what just happened, without needing to explain it. This works because people expect emotional reactions. They expect you to push back or shut down, but when you hold steady, you short-circuit their script. You disrupt the dynamic completely. Psychologically, this is called a dominance inversion. When someone interrupts, they're trying to assert control, but your non-reaction, your calm, focused gaze, communicates that you were never rattled. It's not about intimidation. It's about command presence. And presence isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the one everyone watches, because they know you're unfazed. I once witnessed a woman get cut off during a panel discussion. Instead of jumping back in, she simply looked at the interrupter. Silent, steady, calm. The air changed. The interrupter started fumbling, backpedaling, then finally stopped. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't argue. She let her stillness do the talking. Marcus Aurelius would call this winning without engagement. Because when you don't react emotionally, you're not pulled into someone else's chaos. You stay anchored. And from that place, people respect you. Not because you forced them to, but because your control speaks louder than their words. So next time someone tries to steamroll your presence, don't rush. Pause. Look at them, and let the weight of your silence remind them you are not easily dismissed. Still, some don't stop at interruption. They escalate. They try to embarrass you publicly through humor, and that's where the next tactic turns the tables. There's a kind of disrespect that doesn't show up with fists. It arrives with a grin, wrapped in laughter, coated in just kidding. It's the kind that hides behind humor, but aims straight for your dignity and fires when the crowd is watching. It's when someone turns your vulnerability into a punchline, a past failure into a party story, a scar into a shared joke, and suddenly the room's laughing, but you're the only one bleeding. And the worst part? They say it with a smile. They throw in a soft chuckle and say, "Relax, I'm just playing." But you're not laughing. You're frozen, because in that moment, you're not sure what to do. If you fire back, you're too sensitive. If you stay quiet, you look weak. If you smile along, you betray yourself. That's the trap, and they set it well. Because no matter what you feel, if you show it, they win. They got the laugh. They got the power. They got the room. So what do? You break the rhythm. Not with a clapback, not with emotion, but with a move so unexpected, it cuts deeper than the joke ever could. You look them in the eye, still, calm, measured, and say, "Could you repeat that?" That's it. No sarcasm, no defense. Just 4 neutral words, delivered with precision. And in that moment, everything changes. They now have to say it again, without the laughter, without the timing, without the safety of the punchline. And it falls flat. Suddenly, everyone sees it for what it was. A cheap shot, masked as charm. This is spotlight inversion. You return the energy, but not by reflecting it. You absorb it and redirect it, like holding up a mirror that doesn't distort, just reveals. You see, jokes rely on rhythm, on momentum, en surprise, and you just removed all of it. Now it's awkward. Now it's uncomfortable, but not for you, because now they're the ones fumbling, explaining, repeating words that don't land like they did the first time. I saw this once at a corporate dinner. A guy mocked. A woman rehashed an embarrassing college story. Everyone laughed, except her. She tilted her head and said, "Say that again. I want to make sure I heard you clearly." He paused, started repeating, then trailed off. Halfway through the sentence, he realized the moment had turned on him. That's Stoic power. Not aggressive, not emotional, just, undeniable. Epictetus said, "What does not touch your essence is not your concern." And your essence, it's not in how others laugh at you. It's in how you carry yourself when they try. So next time someone cloaks cruelty in humor, don't retaliate, don't shrink, don't perform. Just pause. Ask them to say it again. Then, hold the silence. Let their own words echo into the discomfort they deserve. Because when you stop fueling the performance, you don't just kill the joke. You expose the emptiness behind it. And if they can't mock you into silence, they'll try provoking you into anger. Let's talk about what happens next and how Stoics disarm chaos with calm. Sometimes people won't stop at sarcasm. They won't back off after the first jab. They keep going because they want to provoke you. They want to see you flinch. They want to drag you into their energy. It's calculated, not always obvious, but intentional. They know what to say to hit a nerve, to touch something raw, usually in front of others. Now, most people take the bait. They get defensive. They explain. They try to look unaffected, while clearly affected. But here's what the Stoic does instead. He shifts the entire room, without engaging the insult at all. Let's say you're at a family gathering. Someone throws out a passive-aggressive remark about your career, in front of everyone. You feel it land. It stings. But instead of answering, you pause. Then say calmly, "Does anyone know a good bakery around here? I've been looking for something for next week." The room shifts. The instigator pauses. Confusion replaces momentum. People mentally trip over the change in tone. This is a pattern interrupt, a powerful psychological technique that breaks the rhythm of emotional attack. You disrupt their script. You deny the escalation. You pull the entire interaction into a new frame. And it works, because most provokers aren't expecting stillness. They're expecting resistance. The moment you don't give it to them, they're off balance. It's not avoidance. It's redirection on your terms. And here's the deeper lesson. If you don't like the energy in the room, change it. Not with volume, but with unexpected clarity, with a shift so quiet. It forces everyone to recenter. The brilliance of this tactic is that it lets you maintain composure while sending a very clear message. You don't get to control me. You don't get to define the moment. and you don't get to see me lose control. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters. And sometimes the strongest response is a complete refusal to engage, followed by a new direction. This tactic works in every setting: workplace, friend groups, family dinners, because it doesn't escalate the problem, it renders it irrelevant. You take the heat and convert it into stillness. And ironically, you become the most powerful person in the room, not by overpowering others, but by being unshakably in control of yourself. But sometimes, even calm doesn't fix the room. When respect is no longer a conversation, but a war of presence, you don't fight, you exit. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is leave the table. Not slam it, not flip it. Just get up and walk away, quietly, calmly, without apology. That's what Sarah did. She was sharp, talented, committed to her work. But every time she spoke up in meetings, her manager would interrupt, undermine, dismiss her ideas. It wasn't always blatant. Sometimes it came as jokes, passive remarks, or a forced smile that said, "You're not really important here." At first, Sarah tried harder. She thought, if she proved herself enough, they'd see her value. But they didn't. So one day, after another public dismissal, she closed her laptop, looked around the room, and said calmly, "I think I'll invest my energy where it's valued." Then she left. No tantrum, no explanation. 3 months later, she was hired by a better company, this time in a leadership role. That's not quitting, that's realignment. And that's Stoic strategy. You don't beg for respect. You don't explain why you deserve to be seen. You simply stop placing yourself in rooms that refuse to see you. Now here's the question. How do you know when it's time to walk away? There are 3 clear signs. 1. You feel like you're constantly proving your worth, and no matter what you do, it's never enough. That's not growth. That's erosion. 2. Your voice is present, but your presence is ignored. You're in the room, but never really in the dynamic. Your ideas land flat, not because they lack value, but because no one's willing to see them. 3. You've begun to doubt your own significance, not because it's true, but because you've been trained to feel invisible. When these signs line up, don't wait for the environment to shift. Become the one who shifts. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and staying too long in places that drain you will slowly color you in ways that have nothing to do with who you are." The Stoic doesn't stay to prove. The Stoic chooses where energy belongs. So don't let them confuse endurance with loyalty or silence with weakness. Walking away doesn't mean you gave up. It means you understood this truth. Presence without respect is just proximity, and you weren't born to sit quietly in spaces that erase you. Let's recap these Stoic moves and how they silently shift power in your favor. Let's break it down. 5 power moves. 5 quiet weapons. 5 ways to shift how the world treats you without raising your voice once. Tactic 1. Project value through posture. Because how you walk in, sit down, and stand up tells people whether you value yourself long before you speak. Tactic 2. Control space through silence. A calm, steady gaze can command more respect than any argument ever could. Tactic 3. Diffuse shame with stillness. When someone mocks you, you don't fight the joke. You kill its momentum by asking them to repeat it. And just like that, the laugh dies before it lands. Tactic 4. Shift energy with redirection. A well-placed, unrelated question, can hijack hostility and make the aggressor irrelevant. Tactic 5. Walk away to reclaim your worth. Because staying where you're not respected isn't noble, it's self-erasure. These aren't tactics of aggression, they're tactics of authority. Stoic authority, built from the inside out. And when you master them, you stop trying to win respect. You start radiating it. As Marcus Aurelius taught, self-control is not passivity, it's precision. This is how the Stoic moves. Not louder, but sharper. Not to prove power, but to show they never lost it. If you're tired of begging for respect, it's time to become the type of person no one dares to disrespect. If something in this video made you pause, if it reminded you of a moment where you stayed silent, when you should have stood tall, then now's the time to shift that story. Comment, "I set the tone." If you're done being talked over, looked down on, or dismissed by people who never earned your attention in the first place. No long explanations, just a signal, a declaration that from here on out, you move with strategy, not emotion. If you want to keep building this energy, watch the next video. How to make people respect you without saying a word. 5 power signals. It'll give you even more tools to sharpen your presence, tighten your silence, and own the space without having to perform for it. Because remember, the most dangerous person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who doesn't react because they already control the room.